really nice to see all of you. Hope you're doing well. I think it was on Sunday we started talking about this idea of creativity. I told you we'd explore it a little bit more, and I think it's important to kind of dive back into it. But I'm going to read you a quote from Guru Jagat. She said, "The world is dying under the stagnancy of fear of doing anything new or taking any risks." Okay, and again, I just think like if we can pull these threads, they're all playing really well into what is going on right now. And the idea behind, and she talks about like the idea behind movement is to keep us whole, right? So why do we move? We do it so that we stay whole. And it is absolutely connected to this idea of creativity and inspiration and motivation and all of this. And we know that, right? When we move our body, we understand that connection that we get with the creative mind and something that like pulls us to create something bigger in this world, right? When we stop moving, we become stagnant, we become depressed. It becomes really challenging, right? And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it brilliantly. And he talks about, most of us are living in this state of fear and stress, right? So the sympathetic nervous system dominates this fight or flight. And in that space, there is no time to be creative. There is no time for healing. There is no time for anything larger except self-consumption, okay? So, we talk about motivation to get out of this space of stagnancy. Well, that's in itself, right? When we are here in this stagnant place of non-movement and not being able to be creative, we become a bit selfish and consumed in our state of being. So if you want to kind of tie in this thread of doing something larger for society, contributing to this whole, sharing your light, then you're on the right path with bringing movement and practice into your life. Okay, that's why the physical practice, the actual moving of the body, is so imperative to start us onto that pathway forward. Right? When we spend the time on ourselves, so this, like some people say, like this is like kind of like my selfish time, then we can be selfless later. Okay, so we have to put in the work. We have to do that foundation before we can start to serve, which I truly believe with all of my heart now, after all this, is why we are here in this world, is to serve. Okay, so pull this idea of creativity into your practice. We start by pulling the thread of creativity into the breath. Okay, this is the very first step. We can show up on our mat and we can just breathe and we can let the mind wander, or we can be so intentional with the breath. And you can literally feel like this amazing sensation with your inhale and then this full release with your exhale. Okay, so drop into this idea. If you don't know where to start with your breath. Okay, beautiful. All right, let's move the body. We just talked about how important it is. Let's start. We're coming to the last few classes of our back body. Okay, and then we start to move into side body, right? Next week. Okay, so let's start onto our knees. Traditional Sattva class today, pretty standard to what we're used to, maybe switch it up a little bit, but you guys know the sequence well, and I want to keep it really simple today so that you can focus on other things like the breath, okay? So sit up nice and tall, draw your shoulders down your back, find your breath. Right away, land into the body, become really present, right? So there truly is nothing else other than this moment right now, right here. Physical body, pressing into the mat, your hands onto your knees, and the breath coming in and out of the nose. And as you settle into that creative breath, set an intention for your practice today. It can be what we just talked about, or it can be something else if you are being called towards that. Okay, take an inhale there. Full exhale out. Good. Very gently open the eyes. Let's come forward onto hands and knees. Good. Walk your hands back slightly. Place the crown of the head onto the mat. And let's start to roll forward. Make sure that your feet are hip distance apart. Your toes are going to want to come closer together, but just bring a little separation between them so that this creates stability in the lower half of your body and allows you to accentuate the spine higher up, all the way to the back of the neck.
Light into the head, press into the hands. 3 more breaths here. Good. Let's roll back. Sit back into child's posture. Bring your arms back beside you, palms face down. Push your third eye into the mat. So the point right in between your eyebrows. Create a little pressure down to the mat and just take 3 breaths here. Relaxing the lower spine. Just feeling this sensation of really folding and surrendering over yourself. Good. Let's walk our hands back up. Come back up onto your hands and knees. Good. Let's drop our left arm behind our right. Drop down to your shoulder, drop your ear. Interlace your hands, push them into the mat. Bring your gaze up towards the sky. If you want to take this just a little bit deeper, feel it on a deeper level, just simply pull your right hip back and allow your left hip to gently pull towards the top of your mat. Good. Let's come back up onto the hands and we'll switch sides. Take that right arm, drop it behind your left, come on down. Interlace your hands. Slight pressure into the mat. Feel that twist. Beautiful. Come back up onto your hands. Tuck your toes and shift yourself back into downward facing dog. Good. Take your time here to land in the hands and the feet. If you need movement, create movement in the legs. Good. Let's bring the gaze to the top of the mat. Jumper step forward. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Reach your arms, gaze up. And Samastitihi. Good. Let's flow with the breath. Inhale, rise up. Palms touch, gaze up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze up. Plant your hands, jumper, step back, high plank. Continue to lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. We're working with pigeon posture right away. So inhale your right shin behind your right wrist crease. Be gentle and slow with this posture because we are not quite warm. Keep your back toes tucked under. Keep pressure into your hands. Good. Press down into your hands. Inhale, straighten your back knee, lift it off the mat, and step back, downward facing dog. Good. And then let's switch sides. Inhale, left shin forward. Come on down. So watching those subtle sensation of your body starting to tune into the breath. Good. Put your hands down into the mat, lift your back knee, step back into high plank. Let's lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Beautiful. Let's bring our gaze to the top of the mat. Jumper step forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold.
Inhale, we rise together. And Samadhi. Good. Again, inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, gaze up. Plant your hands, jumper, step back, high plank. Let's lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, your right shin behind your right wrist crease. Let's come down. Pigeon posture. Good. Hands come down. Lift your back knee. Step back, downward facing dog. And right away, we'll move on to the left side. Inhale, left shin forward. Good. Float into your pigeon. Good. Inhale, lift your back knee. Step back into high plank. Let's lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, let's take 5 steady breaths here. At this point in the practice, you should be quite ingrained in that breath, in that creative flow, in and out through the nose, controlling it with that slight constriction at the back of your throat. Good. Gaze comes forward. Jumper step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up. And Samasthiti. Good. Let's take a big step back with our right foot. Turn your toes out nice and wide. You're facing the long edge of your mat. Good. Hands are onto the hips. Inhale, rise up with the chest, gaze up. And exhale, let's fold forward. Good. Walk both hands and catch onto your left shin or your left ankle, even the outer edge of your foot. And you're going to pull. So use your hand and lean into the right side of the body. Good. Even the weight between your feet. Drop your gaze so the neck is relaxed. And notice where you can feel this. Good. Let's walk our hands, switch feet. Come on over to the right. Grab on. Find that depth and then really again lean into the left side of the body. Good. Hands come back through center. Let's take our hands back behind us, clasping onto your hand or catching onto opposite elbow, and then fold forward. Bring your hands up and over. You're dropping your head, reaching and lengthening the spine so that eventually the top of the head meets the mat. Good. Keep bowing inwards. Keep folding in to see what you can discover in the posture in its full entity, in its full expression. Good. Keep folding forward, but let's release the hands. Now catch onto your ankles. And one last time, fold in. Elbows can come out to the side as you again root the crown of the head down towards the mat. In terms of the back of the legs, they're turned on. So you're rolling your pelvis or your hips up towards the sky. That's where your tailbone is more descriptive. So you're rolling your tailbone up towards the sky. You should automatically feel the back of the legs turn on.
good. Let's release. Walk your hands to the center of your mat. Inhale, gaze up, long through the spine. Exhale, hands onto your hips. Pause here. And inhale, let's rise all the way up. Good. Pivot to face the top of your mat and stand into Samasthiti. Good. Let's come back a little bit. So come to the center of your mat instead. Bring your feet hip distance apart. We're coming into half moon and twisted half moon, so you may need your blocks. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky. And exhale, fold forward. Bring that right hand way out in front of you. Shift the weight onto the right side of the body as you lift your left leg. Stack your hips. Left hand onto your hip or up towards the sky. Some of you may be working the next posture, and that's catching onto your left foot with your left hand and kicking it so that you're opening through the front of the body. Your last job is to breathe here. Good. Let's gently release your left hand onto the mat. Roll your left hip down, and we'll come into our twist. Right hand onto your sacrum or up towards the sky. Good. Again, if you need more space, just use your block. With your exhale, let's release and lower. Right hand comes down, left foot, and we'll switch sides. Good. Walk your left hand way out in front of you. Shift into half moon on the left. Right leg lifts, right hand onto your hip. That's it. Open the chest up. If you're having trouble balancing here, you need to push harder down into that left foot and your left fingertips. Root down as hard as you can without clenching into your toes. And then extend into your right toes, your right fingertips. Beautiful. Good, Wilmina. Good. To release, right hand comes down and we'll move into our twist. Good. So right hand onto the mat, left hand onto your sacrum or up towards the sky. Good, Robin. Keep rooting into that right hand. Find the length into the left fingertips. We didn't sign up for easy. Good. 3, 2, and 1. Top hand comes down, your foot comes down. Walk your hands back. And let's just fold forward here. You can grab onto opposite elbow, relax the neck, maybe swing from side to side. Good. Let's release our hands down into the mat. Inhale, gaze up. Plant your hands, jump or step back, high plank. Let's lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing duck. Exhale, downward facing duck. Good. Inhale, step your right foot in between your hands, right into the center of your mat. Keep your back heel lifted. Let's roll onto the outer edge of your right foot now. Okay. Good. You guys know this posture really well now. You can stay down into your fingertips or engage the legs, the core. Bring your hands onto your hips or interlace back behind you. Good, Steve. Breathe. Good, Marcy. Good. Hands come down. Roll your foot flat onto the mat. Good. Now, spin your back heel down onto the mat. You are going to rise up with the chest slightly so you can interlace your hands back behind you. And we are going to fold inwards to the inside edge of that right leg. You ideally want to connect your right shoulder to your right knee. Yeah. Now sink into that right knee a little deeper and take a few breaths here.
Good. Let's release the hands onto either side of your foot. Inhale, lift your back heel and step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot in between your hands. Back heel stays lifted. Roll onto the outer edge of that left foot. Good. You know the drill. Sink into that left knee as deep as you can. Good. And find your balance point. Keep reaching through the root or the crown of the head. Good. Good, Romina. Good. Hands come down. Plant the left foot down onto the mat. Now spin your right heel down onto the mat. Good. Rise up with your chest slightly so you can interlace your hands back behind you. And let's fold forward. Inside edge of that left knee. Good. Now sink a little deeper into the left knee and bow inwards. If it's getting really fiery and burny, close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths here. Start to show yourself what you can work through. Last one. Good. Release your hands onto the mat. Spin your back heel up towards the sky. Step back into high plank. Let's lower. Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. And second set of pigeons. So inhale your right shin behind your right wrist crease. Let's drop down. Good. Now you can either stay here or we're going to come into our twist. So walk your hands surrounding your right knee and fold forward. To stay balanced, you really want to connect to the top of that left foot. You also want to push into the outer edge of your right foot, right? So this just helps us activate the legs here. Good. Let's walk now over to the opposite side, surrounding your right foot. Twist. Now come back into this idea of inspiring the breath, right? Threading this concept, this idea of creativity into your breathing. Every inhale and every exhale. Good. Come back through center. Come back up onto your hands. You're going to tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, and step back, downward facing dog. Good. And on that same side, on the right side, we're going to do our splits. So inhale, step your right foot in between your hands. Come on down with your back knee. And then set yourself up for splits. Now, I want you to get yourself to a point where you are a little bit out of your comfort zone with this. So no pain, right? But I know even with myself, it's quite easy to hold my block a little higher, right? And then I could stay there for a very long time. Get to a place where you're quite uncomfortable for 5 or 6 breaths and you're ready to come out, okay? Let's walk our hands forward slightly, remove your block, and make your way back into downward facing dog. Try to lift that right heel and thread your foot all the way through. Good. And then let's shift into pigeon posture on the left. So left shin comes forward. Untuck your back toes. Once the body is steady, let's walk over to the left and fold forward. and watch the patterns in the mind, what you're drawn to, what your go-to emotions are. Watch if it's frustration or if it's excitement, right? If it's dread or contentment. This practice has a funny way of showing us these patterns that maybe aren't serving us anymore. Okay, let's walk your hands now opposite direction surrounding your foot. We come back down. Find your feet. They'll help you to continue to balance your pelvis. Come back up onto your hands, walk through center. Tuck your back toes, inhale, lift your right knee off the mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Now we're coming into Hanumanasana or splits on the left. So step your left foot through, glide yourself into the posture. So the pressure should land into that left heel and your back toes. So almost like you could be lifted up off your block, right? So enough pressure there to support you and then sink into the middle. That's it. Beautiful. Let's unwind from the posture. Good. Remove your block. Lift your back knee. Thread that left leg all the way through into high plank. Run through your vinyasa and we'll meet in downward facing dog. Good. And then we're going to come into pigeon posture. So again, some of you have been working pigeon with the block. Others may not. That's okay. If you're working with your block, you're going to step both feet onto one. Good. Spread your fingers nice and wide. And knees are going to come into your armpits or back of your arms. So same setup. It's just easier with the block because it helps you get a little bit higher. Okay, keep your gaze forward and let's try to have either lightness in the feet or bring them completely off the block or mat. Good. So trust the strength here. Drop the belly button towards the spine, spine towards your belly button. Lengthen for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, as you release, try to step your feet to the outer edges of your hands into a low squat. Good, Romina. You're already there. Good. Hands in front of your chest into prayer. Let's just settle in here for a bit. And if you guys are still working one of those postures, don't rush, right? Feel free to keep working them and then just join us whenever you can. So we're not curling into that upper back. See if you can find a little more space, a little more length. Now, your body might be calling for you to stay here. It's a really healing posture for the pelvis, for the hips. If you want to add on with us, bring your hands down, send your tailbone up towards the sky. You are going to work your shoulders underneath your knees as much as you can. So the more you get them under, the easier the posture will be. You're either going to grab onto your ankles and start to drop your tailbone down towards the mat, or maybe your hands land onto the mat behind your heels. You keep drawing back. Eventually, maybe lighten to the toes. Full posture, we straighten the legs for Titibasana. Wherever you are, keep your gaze up if you can. Good. That's it. I know it's tricky. We're here for 4. Good, Wilhelmina. 3, 2, 1. Now even trickier is to get out. Yeah, I know. I still don't have it down. Good. Either take a vinyasa or meet me in downward facing dog. Take a moment here to resettle into the breath. Find your movement. Good. Let's bring your gaze forward, jump all the way through onto your seat. Straighten your legs out in front of you. Good. Let's take our hands back behind us. Legs are straight or bent, whatever you're working with in your posture. And then inhale, let's come on up. So we're lifting the pelvis up towards the sky. You really want to drop into your big toes. So have an internal rotation with your legs, like a spiral from your hips down into your big toes. And this strength, although challenging, should feel good. Recognizing what you're able to do. You're able to lift yourself up constantly, right? We're here for 4. 3, lift a little higher. 2, and 1. Good. Let's come on down. Walk your hands all the way forward for a forward seated fold. Really try to collapse those shoulders or pull them away from your ears, sliding them down onto the back. Have lots of integrity here through the spine, the back of the legs, push into your heels. Next inhale, glides the torso up. Let's slide your right foot into the inner edge of your left leg. Open up nice and wide. Continue to connect into that left heel. Let's slide our left hand towards our left toes, ankle or shin, right arm up and over. Now, if you're quite deep here, you eventually can catch on to your foot with both hands, okay? And if you are there, keep rooting into the right hip or your right cheek. Push it down into the mat. Good. Inhale, we rise. Let's straighten the right leg and we'll switch sides. Good. Left foot comes in. Glide into the posture. Left arm up and over. And for a moment, close your eyes and recognize the sensation of being in your body, right? We want this to be a really comfortable place. Even if we are doing something challenging or we are up against something challenging, we come back to this place that is so grounded, so steady, right? That no matter what is going on in the external world, we can always land back here. And this is what our practice is teaching us. Good. Inhale, we rise. Straighten your left leg and let's come to lay flat onto the back. Bring your knees up towards the sky. Feet are hip distance apart. Arms land by your side onto the mat. Good. Inhale, let's extend our right leg up towards the sky. Your foot is flexed. You're going to push strongly into that left foot and come on up. So find a lift here. Keep reaching through the right heel. And really push into the back of the shoulders. This will help you lift a little higher. Good. Right foot comes down. Let's switch sides. Left extends up. Good. Let's slowly release. Left foot comes down. And without thinking about it too much, we're going to glide into our back bends. Okay, so 3 back bends today. If you can, just come down to the crown of the head in between each set. If you need a full reset, that's fine. Come all the way down onto your back and then join us again. Good. So inhale, let's come on up. So whatever stage of back bend, come into your full expression. If you are in your full wheel, most likely you need to turn your heels out just slightly. Push into your feet and hands and soften your glutes. Now reach your belly button up towards the sky. Good. Let's come all the way down around the crown of the head. Take a breath. Inhale, we rise. Together we come up. Good. Supported by the creativity and the importance of the breath here. For 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down around the crown of the head. Reset breath. And inhale, rise up. Good. Tuck your chin, come all the way down. Good. Before you create too much movement, let your hands land onto the belly, the chest, or the mat. And take 4 deep breaths here. So down into the belly. Good. And after your 4th breath, draw your knees into your chest, open your arms up wide, drop both knees over to the right, gaze to your left. Drop into that left shoulder, push it into the mat. Good. Inhale back up through center. Let's switch sides. Good. Draw your knees back up through center. Good. We will take Halasana. So let's bring the feet up and over behind us, hands onto the lower back. Reach your toes down towards the mat. This creative and rhythmic breath should guide us right up until Shavasana. So it should still be there just as much as when we started with our sun salutations. This is honestly your guiding force. Good. And then exhale, let's start to unwind. And you can make your way into Shavasana. Make sure you're warm enough, you're comfortable enough. Find your place in the body. See if you can move into the deepest depth that you know. This place of comfort, of support, of warmth, of trust, and of hope. And see if you can lay quietly there for the next minute or so. As you lay here, start to bring full deep breaths back into the body. In your own time, you can bring your knees in towards your chest. Eventually making your way onto the side of the body. And then up to a comfortable seated position at the top of your mat. Good. So today I want to show you a breath work that is really powerful when it comes to anxiety and stress, right? And just shifting the thought form out of there. So anytime, I know like the ancient yogis used to prescribe this for like panic attacks and stuff. So kind of like that extreme stress, anxiety. I think you guys will find it quite useful. Very simple. All you're doing is you are inhaling your full capacity. When you hit your peak, you take 3 more little sips in, like you hold for a count of 2 to 5, whatever your body can hold. You exhale everything out. When you get to the bottom, you let out 3 more little pumps of air, and then you hold at the bottom for a count of 3 to 5. Okay, 5 is quite challenging. You'd be surprised. I'll walk you through the first 1 or 2, and then you can do a few on your own. Okay, so let's just take a cleansing breath into the nose, out to the nose. Good. Let's inhale through the nose. At the peak, you're going to take in 3 more sips of breath. And then hold for 3, 2, 1. Exhale all the breath out the nose. When you land at the bottom, let go of 3 more pumps of breath. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and begin again. Good. So do a few more on your own. See how you make out. You can extend your hold up to, let's do a max count of 5 today. Let's come into our last round, wherever you're at. And when you are finished with that exhale, you can soften the body and relax into your natural breathing. And when you're done, the breath flows in and out through the nose. It's soft and gentle, but also has a very specific rhythm behind it. And the interesting part about this is you get to choose what is behind the breath, what intention you place into the breath. And you get to start to thread that into every cell in the body. So as we move into your meditation, get clear on your intention. Start to feel it moving through the body, land it into the cell so it is grounded there. And with this beautiful solid platform to work from, we just start to notice the rhythm of breath. You notice the sensation of air landing to the nostrils. You notice the lifting and the falling of the belly with each breath. You notice the ever so slight movement underneath your hands with each breath. Most importantly, you recognize the connection the breath has to allowing you to feel grounded but free at the same time. Each breath we take, resting into our power a little bit more, getting a little more comfortable here. Trusting in the space that we have come into, the space that we have landed in, and that within that space it contains everything we need. And keeping your eyes closed, let's start to bring some full breaths back into the body. Slowly, slowly bringing your awareness back. Keep the eyes closed, but let's bring our hands in front of heart center. Resting into this creative space that you were able to create through the practice, through movement, through breath, and through dedication to your intention. Thank you very much for your practice. Namaste.